Very happy Mass Effect Day. Today is November 7th, and of course, BioWare has sent us a tiny little teaser about what Mass Effect Andromeda is going to be. It's only 1 minute and 29 seconds. You can take a look on their website, and it's basically just space footage with female Shepard talking over the background, and that's it. But that's the way BioWare is teasing us by acknowledging November 7th.
Okay.
It came in under the wire. Sorry.
Yes. It literally just announced this morning. Everything was posted this morning, so we didn't have time to add an official topic to the lineup. But I thought we should mention it because it is Mass Effect after all.
Yeah. And if it had come in earlier in the week, it would definitely be in the show. But I have a cutoff time. I need to have a point where I can make graphics crap.
So probably next week.
Probably next week. Well, it really isn't that much. Unless they decide to follow up with more teasers, there's really not much to mention, except go and take a look. It's cute, I guess. It's
really, as I understand it, it's just Shepard kind of handing the torch off and saying goodbye. I mean, since we don't play audio of trailers here,
pretty much it's
it
kind of
space.
it's basically space, the final frontier. It's your turn now. Bye, bitches. Shepard out.
Peace out.
Peace out, bitches.
So, what have you guys been up to this week?
Well, Cece?
I ruined my keyboard by spilling some water on it, so now I have a new $10 Insignia keyboard instead of my actual nice gaming keyboard, so I'm not sore about that at all.
And you've been in an opera.
Oh yeah, I did that thing. It's almost like I spent like several hours a day rehearsing and stuff, so you'd think I'd know that.
You'd know that.
Yeah, you'd think
she
I'd
was
know
a
that.
spectral. She was a spectral fairy creature.
Yes, I had big shiny wings and a big headdress and braided hair. They were like, "You have a lot of hair. Let's braid all of it in as many braids as we can, and loop it all and do this crazy Victorian stuff with it." So I would totally do it every day because it looked really cool. I'd totally do it every day if I
had 4 hours to get into it.
Yeah,
and a dedicated makeup person.
Yeah.
Yes, that too.
Someone she follows you around doing your hair all day.
Yeah.
She looked wonderful. You have to take the pictures down after the opera is done so you can put that on your website.
Yeah, I think I'm going to.
All right. And oops, I forgot to do this. And I was playing Stasis, and I didn't get through it all. I will probably finish it later this afternoon. I'm about halfway done with it. So we'll see how things go. And particularly Slimes. What the heck are you talking about?
Okay, every time you play The Sims, I don't know if you've ever.
I've seen the thing. Yes.
Well, usually in the very bottom they have like little nonsense.
I know.
Loading text, so reticulating splines.
That's why I'm like, why are you Sim referencing us? Are we a Sim show now?
We could be. I could be. Actually, I was thinking of being that for Halloween. Just have a little like. It's not a rhombus. What the hell is it?
A plumb
diamond?
bob.
A what?
It's called a plumb bob. That's exactly what it's called.
Really?
Yes, the green diamond over the head is called a plumb bob.
What a ridiculous name.
Anyways, I didn't name it.
Well, I was going to have one of those, but then I decided to dress as undead Jim Sterling. Thank God for Jim. And so.
Well, that wasn't who you originally decided to go as, but
no,
it's a quick change of plan.
Very, very quick. Like 5 minutes before the show, Drew suggested something. I went, I think I have a red tie. 1 second.
And then he comes back, and I'm like, your glasses need to be red. Then he spills blood into it.
I spilled blood on my glasses because, the blood of Konami. And speaking of Konami.
Oh, are we actually going into the show now?
Yeah, we're into the show now. Okay. Might as well.
Okay, so first up, Konami.
I guess it's obligatory to say.
It's all yours.
It's for Konami. So as we've heard that, over the past year or so, we've had this very interesting soap opera developing between Konami and Hideo Kojima. And of course Benicio del Toro as well. People have been fired, tempers have flared, and everything behind closed doors as far as, we can muster. But one thing we do know is that Hideo Kojima has left the building, or not. However, we do know that...
He's on vacation.
But actually, Konami just confirmed the closure of the Kojima Production Studios in Los Angeles. So this is adding to the whole has Kojima left, has Kojima stayed. There's pictures of a farewell party for Kojima, but Konami says that they don't know what that party is all about, even though it took place in its offices. And Konami, Kojima left Konami. It was reported that he left Konami, and Konami says, no, he's on vacation. So now they're shuttering the Kojima Productions, which worked on the newest Metal Gear Solid game. So at this point, it's this enormous charade where Konami is trying to save face as hard as it can, and it's just not working because we have the internet.
Yeah.
Darn you, internet! Darn you and your accessibility, and the inability to hide major game development people.
Yeah.
So of course now the talking mouths on the internet have been trying to guess as to what will happen once Kojima comes back from vacation, probably just to receive his severance pay. Whether he will go into the Kickstarter indie funding crowd and actually try to make a game closer to what he wants without Konami's intervention, or whether he will simply just retire because he's fed up of decades of bullshit from working with Konami. Who knows?
Well, all I know is, given the naming trend for these things, if I log into Kickstarter one day and see Silicon Diode or Silicon Gasket or something like that, I'll know Kojima's back.
Good old Kojima's back.
So
maybe,
but Konami,
maybe.
Come on, seriously, give us a break.
It's interesting to see how. Because Konami is a company that has a very long and storied record. They have been responsible for a lot of groundbreaking and iconic games from the earlier console days and up to recently. Well, not that recent. Maybe they have up to the past 10 years. And then after that, they have started this death spiral of insanity. It's almost like they caught whatever EA caught at some
Except
point.
EA seems to be okay to a degree.
Well, bizarrely enough, EA is doing better. They're not good by any stretch of the imagination, but they're doing better than they were doing before.
Perhaps EA is just patient zero.
Well, maybe at this point they just gave a transfusion to Konami of whatever insanity was bottled up inside of them. Because if you go back to I'd say 2013 EA E3 promo videos for Konami, you can tell that the people who were doing the promos at that time were already unhinged.
Yeah.
Like, you watch that shit, it's like being stoned. Actually,
Stoned, not like a biblical horror, stoned like stoned.
Yeah.
No, I swear to you that if you're stoned and you watch that video, you will have the exact same reaction as if you were watching it sober. It's some of the weirdest things that they were trying to pull back as far as 2013. So we know that the insanity was already there. Now it's just all pervasive in the company, which is sad because as a gamer who cut his teeth on consoles in the late 80s, early 90s, Konami amounted to a good amount of my playing time. And to see them basically running around with their underpants on their heads is kind of sad.
I think that's why your particular generation of gamers gets so angry about what Konami is doing.
It is. It's well, for example, let's imagine moving to the movieverse, moving to the movie universe, the generation that is currently growing up with the current Marvel films, which are pretty good. Imagine 10 years from now, say Fox gets the rights to the Marvel canon, and they start doing with the main Marvel characters what they did with Fantastic Four. The people who watch those movies will feel pretty close to how I feel when Konami basically goes, "Rah!" So...
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they, go on to say, Hugh Jackman is going to be in this movie until the movie is about three or 4 weeks from production. And they go, he's not in the movie. I don't know what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. He left. He's on vacation.
He's on vacation.
And
we're going to add him. We're going to add him in post.
We don't know how there was a thing on TMZ saying he had a going away party.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a certain level of betrayal. So moving on,
Moving on.
Horus Heresy.
Horus Heresy Betrayal at Calth. A lot of us are very excited. Horus Heresy is the latest in the latest big project coming out of Games Workshop. They're coming out with it's a board game. It's essentially 30K. So those of you who all know 40K, this is 30K. It's set 10,000 years before 40K. Thus,
30K.
Yeah. 30K. And they've come out with a new game set. It looks like a board game, which I'm really excited about. I'm probably going to buy it and play it, even though it's $150. The models are all plastic, and they have these really nice, yeah, Horacy, yeah. But the models are all plastic, and it's going to be really exciting because these are some models that you really had trouble getting your hands on, and they were really, really expensive, for one thing. So I'm thinking about just cannibalizing the set, period.
Did they say something like $586 worth of models?
Yes, yeah. If you look at comparing it to what Forge World is doing, because Forge World has all the specialized stuff. So I'm really excited about this. It looks like it's going to be a good thing. And additionally, there's been a lot of talk, and there are some rumors from the same people who said that Horus Heresy Betrayal at Calth was coming out. They're saying that they're going to actually replace their Lord of the Rings tabletop game or the Hobbit tabletop, that line of games, with a new Horus Heresy tabletop game, which I think would be really interesting. It's a little strange to me because I don't know why you would need 30K and 40K, but it could be a lot of fun. You know, I love it when people prove me wrong about that kind of thing, and I don't really know what the game is going to look like.
Build up a whole RPG-ish, thing that just kind of takes place over 10,000 years. I think that there's people who get totally behind that, so I can totally see it.
I mean, there are a series of books for Horus Heresy stuff, and there are already 40K. I don't think there are 30K, but there probably are that I just don't know about. 40K role-playing games. I mean, you die all the time. Like Dark Vengeance, just die and die and die. I mean, it's like playing Call of Cthulhu. But it's so I'm actually pretty excited. Horus Heresy has been a really popular storyline with 40K Games Workshop period for quite a while, because they have such a wonderfully successful book series. So I think this is probably a good move, and I love that they're all plastic models. So if they can make plastic 30K, they should be able to make plastic sisters. Sorry.
Well,
Who doesn't want to play nuns with guns? I know so many people who say, I would love to play sisters, but I can't because it's like $60 for 2 models.
Well, considering I'm sure you could find generics, unfortunately, that are nuns with guns easily. I could probably go down to the game store and lay my hands on probably a good dozen of them.
Yeah, but they're not going to be the actual models. You can't use them in tournament play. They're going to be much lower quality. And yeah, you can get the fake plastic made ones, the technically illegal molded ones that you can find on eBay all the time. But they're still stupid expensive. It's still arguably the most expensive army to play, period.
Honestly, if I ever get to play Nuns with Guns, you know that in the background I'm just gonna have the Sister Act soundtrack playing. Salve Regina.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
you are waiting for the nuns. I have that going in the background all the time.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Well, all right.
That tells us a lot about you that I'm not sure a lot of our viewers wanted to know, but
Yeah.
So moving on.
I mean, you are actually listening to Whoopi Goldberg singing.
Yes, and singing along with her. What's your point?
Ooh, that's painful. Okay, go on.
Bloodborne. Cece, you want to talk about this one?
I love Bloodborne. I just really like really dark, kind of angsty, violent. I'm just a fan of games that kill you a lot, okay?
You like misery.
I enjoy misery. I guess I'm good company.
Yeah, I was just
Two
about to say
plus.
that, so you got
Haha.
ahead of me, but
So they have a new DLC coming out. It's called Erg.
No, it's not called Erg, but I
Yeah.
don't. It's a
Sorry.
patch for the old hunters.
Yeah.
The
And
League, I believe it's called.
well, what's really interesting about this, and we've talked about how Bloodborne just does everything right. They're actually releasing some new content at the same time as the DLC. That's actually, and with the DLC, that's not actually DLC only. It's for everyone else in the game. And I don't really know what that is. But we do know that they're releasing stuff like that. I just really like the way that Bloodborne is doing stuff. They're updating the game and giving DLC, but at the same time, they're like, okay, well, you people who haven't bought the DLC, he's a little something something. Yeah.
yeah.
That keeps the game relevant to those, even those who didn't buy the DLC. I think it's an excellent marketing strategy because
Yeah.
it gets those who haven't spent the additional money to come back, play the game again, and go, maybe I will get the expansion.
Yep, exactly.
It's an excellent strategy, and I wish more companies would do it.
I just really like the way that Bloodborne is doing everything, and I like Bloodborne being, Dark Souls fan. I like it when people
It
die.
it was a sequel that Dark Souls absolutely deserved,
Yeah.
even a
Every
spiritual sequel.
every
Yes.
time a person dies, Cece gets her wings.
Yes.
Then she must be freaking
Yeah.
She's a seraphim
Sephiroth's
by
final
now.
form or something by now.
Oh yeah, like I'm a seraphim. Like my closet is just full of wings. I can
Just
choose them.
wings
You know those wings that I
everywhere.
had in the show the other night? Those are actually mine.
I have seen her closet.
She has more wings than birds have feathers, if that's
Yeah.
the case.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
she's got more wings than Buffalo Wilds.
good analogy. I'll go with that one.
Yeah.
Next up, oops, it would help if I hit the right button. See, I changed the way that the system works, and I have to hit a key now instead of doing a thing, and I forget where my keyboard is. So there, Fallout 4. Let's start, Mouse, with your contribution to this.
So, some of you may remember Linda Carter, who in the 1970s played iconic character Wonder Woman. What many of you do not know is that, in fact, Linda Carter has always been a very gifted vocalist, popular in jazz, and for the past couple of decades, she has made her career outside of acting. She has also been doing some jazz tours. Well, if you are planning to get Fallout 4, like 99.9% of the human race coming 2 days from now, I believe, is when it drops. Linda Carter plays a character in Fallout 4. She plays the character who's a singer called Magnolia, and she sings in a bar, which is a key location in town. And for the game, she has contributed 5 original songs sung by her to the game soundtrack, and of course, which you will hear when you're going to visit her in the bar. That's, I grew up loving her Wonder Woman. Again, I was not alive in the 70s, but I was a kid in the 80s, and they had a lot of reruns in the 80s. So I watched all of the Linda Carter Wonder Woman episodes when I was a kid, which contributed to great point, I guess, to me turning out gay.
Yeah.
I don't think Linda Carter is responsible for your gayness, but
Well,
your flavor of gay. But
well, as a kid, I did dress up as Wonder Woman a
I
lot
don't-
of times,
I
and
don't-
my parents were surprised when I came out of the closet at 16.
Well, I don't necessarily blame Linda Carter for that.
It's all her fault.
Knowing you as I do. Aside from that, for those who did not know, apparently there was actually an embargo on Fallout 4's reviews, and that has only recently been finally lifted. 11/6 is when the embargo lifted.
Yeah.
Yes, Boom, you are correct. Sorry.
Boop says, dude, she contributed to your turning out flaming. Yay, that's all built in.
Ah, just
And
let me go grab my tiara.
and he's not just that, but he's fiery on top of it. So you got your fiery Latino and
fiery gay Latino. I
You're
mean,
talking to me. You're talking
He
to
is.
me.
He's a hot tamale, so to speak.
Yeah.
I'm a hot
So,
tamale. I am Puss in Boots.
yes. And but aside from that, apparently, I was watching some of the streams yesterday on Twitch, and apparently the preload was available for PCs. But some reviews and some actual gameplay were going up, perhaps prematurely, and Bethesda was pulling them down. But one of the things that was being revealed that is perhaps making people a little uneasy is that I guess the graphics are not quite up to snuff. They're not quite what everyone was expecting. I did not grab the graphics. There's a reason for this, and I'll tell you in a moment. Did not
So we
grab
don't
the
get
graphics. Did not grab the video play when I had the opportunity, specifically because I didn't want to risk Bethesda pulling the showdown.
yes.
That's why I have to be very selective and very careful about what I put up here.
However, we will be reenacting the footage through interpretive dance. If you look at the background, we won't.
No, actually, Mummer is my Fallout guru, and if it is not up to snuff, he will make a stink. So I expect that probably in about 2 weeks I will have him in here just for a brief run on Fallout 4, just to talk about how he reviews it and all that stuff. But I wanted to give him ample time to go through and play it. I'm hoping it's not true. I'm hoping that it was just a setting or something that was pre-release, because it's entirely possible until the game is out, you can do all sorts of crap behind the scenes.
oh yeah, the game isn't even coming out for another like 20 days, I want to say, or so.
No, it's a couple days.
Eh. And so that earlier version that they released may have been a buggy version. And whatever it is, I doubt it's going to be as bad as Arkham Knight.
Yeah, take
Or
that as your benchmark there, guys.
yeah, nothing. You really, really do have to screw up a game royally to be on the same underworld class as Arkham Knight. That release was a major disaster.
So,
And again,
uh,
we also have to draw some parallels. If you remember, Ubisoft and all of the footage from what was it? The hacker game that Sleeping Dogs. No, God no.
Watch
Sleeping
Dogs.
Watch
Watch Dogs.
Dogs. Other
Watch Dogs.
other dogs. Sleeping Dogs, which the videos show.
Watch Dogs,
Watch
not
Dogs.
Sleeping Dogs.
God
Sleeping
damn
Dogs
it.
is a completely different game.
Yes, Sleeping Dogs is actually a very good game. Very good game. Watch Dogs. The video quality was the trailer quality was astonishing, and the game that was released was not. However, I don't think that would have been as much of a sticking point as if the gameplay and the story had actually held up and delivered in what was promised. However, Watch Dogs turned out to be a disappointment in all aspects of the launch. Even if Fallout 4 ships with less than absolutely beautiful graphics, if they deliver a good story, as they seem to be promising,
And a functioning UI.
and a functioning UI, I can see the fans giving it a pass, or at least considering it the lesser evil.
Yeah, as
and
long
there's a
as it
difference
run-
in
Go ahead.
being like having a couple of weird graphics issues every once in a while and being totally unplayably buggy.
Falling
Not that
through
I'm
Gotham
falling through Gotham or anything
into
like
the
that.
underworld
Into the
forever
underworld,
and
or like
ever.
having every character's face like peeling off, anything like that. So,
Don't forget,
uh,
don't forget the Assassin's Creed bugs. Those were so.
oh, that's what
funny.
I'm referring to.
When you have
faces.
the man running down the street, but he's in a sitting position, so he looks like he's in an invisible go-kart in the middle of the French Revolution.
See, I actually kind of want to play that particular bug because I think
Me
that's
too.
Um,
I so want to see that.
so there's a difference in something that's entertaining and something that's just game breaking, like falling through the floor into eternity. Um, y-
As long as the game works and as
Yeah.
long as the story is worth the wait,
yeah.
and if anything, I'm pretty sure that that's going to happen. I mean, Fallout is a very consistent product.
Yeah.
It has had ample opportunity for development, ample time for development, and this is a company that at least respects Fallout fans. So I mean, look at all the things it has done for the Fallout fans. And I mean, speaking on top of that, for those who actually get the Pip-Boy app, apparently, I'm not going to go into the details of it, but apparently, you can hack the app to get, I believe, 5 mini games out of it. So they're cheap little games in there, but I mean, the fact that you can hack this app and have 5 games unlocked for you, I think is just, little Easter eggs that we're just going to sneak these little things in there to give them just more toys to play with. I mean, so this is a company that clearly and obviously respects its fan base and does it well. So I don't think they're going to go, oh, ship it, it's crap, ship it, we don't care.
Well, Bethesda is beginning to run into a lot of the same problems that Blizzard has run into, especially with the World of Warcraft franchise, because they've built up a lot of hype for this game. There are a lot of people talking about it. This is the game that everybody's talking about coming out this year. And if it's anything less than stellar, people are going to be really disappointed. Even if it's a really good game, they're going to say, well, it could have been this. It could have been that.
True, which is why we'll talk about this later, but this is why I say if World of Warcraft Legion fails, WoW is dead.
I hate it when people say, well, if this doesn't work, WoW is dead. But at the same time, this is a really big project for them, and I think it would not bode well.
Well, I'll go into more detail when we actually get to that section, but I forgot to mention, if for anyone who cares, next week might be a little weird, because I might have a furry little companion living in the house, running around barking. So just in case you get some strange disruptions in the day next week, that would be the reason.
Don't tell them that. Just tell them you've got poltergeist.
No. But moving on. Next up, I saw this and I went to Mouse and I said, I don't know. I was torn.
And I said yes.
I half of me wanted to cover it, half of me just went no. And Mouse told me to cover it. So we're covering this. Avengers Academy. Quite honestly, this is coming to mobile games, if I recall correctly.
iOS and Android.
Yes, thank you. And this is literally what it sounds like. This is the Avengers in high school, essentially. Wow. There wasn't much of a trailer. I mean, I could have grabbed it, but it wasn't much of a trailer because it was just kind of like walking along the bulletin boards, and it ends with Thor using Mjolnir to tack up a vote for Cap for president.
Yeah.
And apparently you can date Loki, and
So you can make all the wrong choices you made in high school all over again, just
yeah.
worse. No, you know what? It looks, the way it's described, it sounds adorable. I'm going to give it a try. I might as well. I don't have many games on my iPhone.
You just want to look at Tom Hiddleston's butt.
No, I don't.
It won't be Tom Hiddleston's butt.
It won't be Tom Hiddleston's butt. I do not. I am actually one of the few people in the world who is not interested in dating Loki. I like him as a character, as Tom Hiddleston portrays him, and I like him as he has been written recently in the Loki Agent of Asgard, but he is not someone I would enjoy dating, because I have already made the mistake of dating someone who was emotionally unavailable and who constantly sabotaged himself, so other people can date him.
Okay.
So moving on.
That got weirdly personal.
Yes. Overwatch.
It's the little things that really help me connect with my audience.
In any case,
Overwatch Origins.
Overwatch. There's not really much to say about this other than Blizzard has announced Overwatch is going to come to PS4 and Xbox One. It's not just going to be PC only, because they did announce it was going to be PC, but they didn't say anything about the other two. So
more than that, specifically for the Xbox and PS4, it's not going to be just Overwatch. It's actually called Overwatch Origins, and they will be getting additional content above and beyond the original game. There's supposed to be, I guess, they've announced 3 new characters, at least. So they should be getting. I don't know how much more content, but they did say that they would get a little bit more than
PC people?
PC.
Way to screw over your fan base, Blizz.
Well,
Yeah.
perhaps they'll roll back and give something to the PC after the fact, but again, Mac gets screwed. So,
Yeah.
but this is all coming out of BlizzCon, so hey, who knows?
As someone who used to have to game on a Mac, because that was my undergrad was a Mac only campus, which is bullshit. But yeah, anybody who just tries to game on a Mac, like don't even bother trying to cater to them. Their hardware just can't handle anything.
Well, they're not designed for games, unfortunately.
No, they're not, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not a gaming
System.
not a viable gaming system. So yeah, Mac people are going to get screwed over, but they would screw themselves over anyway, even if they had the same content. So
next up, still sticking to BlizzCon, StarCraft 2, Legacy of the Void is the most recent DLC, and it was believed that was going to be the end. But apparently there's going to be one more DLC coming that is focused on the Nova Covert Ops.
have they even like released the other one? I thought it was just pre-purchasing the Legacy of the Void.
I think it is pre-purchased currently, but they were just basically the longest standing rumor was that this was the end. It is the last purchased one, but there's going to be Nova Corps is going to get released after this. So
okay.
I assume it'll be part of Legacy of the Void. So if you get this DLC, you'll get that. I don't think it's going to be given to everybody. Perhaps it should be. Hint, hint. But that is another thing that they've announced.
Okay.
And next up, still in the BlizzCon vein, Heroes of the Storm. They have announced their very first co-op character.
Yes.
And that is, for those who are familiar with WoW, Cho'Gall, the leader of the Twilight Hammer.
Yeah. I like Cho'Gall.
I should have went and hunted down some play video of that, because I'm dying to see how people could co-op a character.
Yeah.
It's something that was this is actually a joke from WoW, where people were saying that they needed to add the ogre race, but they couldn't figure out how to justify 2-headed ogres because that was meant to be any of the magical ogres were 2-headed. And so they're saying, well, we'll just have it be a co-op character, and 2 people log in to play the character. I'm going, how do you coordinate that exactly? What happens when one logs in? Do you walk around like you're paralyzed? What do you do?
That does remind me of a game. I don't remember what it was called, but a game launched a while ago where you controlled a giant robot, but it was 2 to 4 players, and each one controlled one of your limbs.
Ooh.
Yeah. It was like playing Octodad on speed.
Yeah.
That's Voltron wrong.
I was wondering if it maybe would play more like Mario Kart Double Dash, where you have one character driving and the other one throwing items and stuff, which, really is, who's better at Mario Kart, because the Mario Kart person is the one driving and the other one's like, yay, I'm helping!
I'm saying things!
I have help! But in this game, it might actually be useful for that person to have that. I genuinely don't know. I don't know.
You're right, Foom. The problem is that nobody forms the head. When there's 4 people playing Voltron, no one is the head.
Yep.
All right. So, aside from that, moving on to the biggest announcement, and that would be Legion. And this is where it gets tricky. I get to go in and make things work behind the scenes.
Uh-huh. Legion, for those of you who have not been paying attention to anything in the Blizzard world ever, Legion is going to be the new expansion for World of Warcraft. They announced it really early and they're releasing it over the summer of 2016. So some people are saying, well, this is really Draenor Part 2. And there are other people saying, well, this is going to be its own game and stuff. Because it does play off of some major plot points in Draenor. As everyone has been saying, that, well, if this expansion doesn't work, WoW is dead. They said that about Pandaria. They said that about Draenor, and WoW still isn't dead. But if Legion doesn't do well, I think it bodes poorly because that will be 4 expansions that really weren't very popular.
You know, the way people talk about WoW kind of reminds me of the way people talk about opera. They have been talking about opera for centuries. Oh, just opera. If this doesn't work, then opera is just dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Left-handed hero, you're asking if Legion follows Garrosh change in the timeline. There has been absolutely no change to the timeline. The Warlords of Draenor took place in an alternate timeline, in an alternate Draenor, although Blizzard did come back and make some sort of bizarre explanation that all things in the Twisting Nether occur simultaneously. It is not. It has absolutely no impact on the timeline of Azeroth. So everything that we know has happened has happened. You might as well just think of Draenor as a big old pocket, and we went in the pocket, kicked up some lint, and Gul'dan fell out, and we came back.
It was the mirror universe. Everybody was wearing goatees.
Yeah,
well, that's the big thing, is that Gul'dan fell out.
Yes.
Gul'dan is back, and he is a big major player. In case you can't tell by that thing that's spewing bright green fell lava, in case you can't tell that there's something vaguely demonic going on over there.
It could be just indigestion.
Yeah, it could just be indigestion. But yeah, it's I don't know. I love Blizzard. I love the WoW story stuff. I really was disappointed by Draenor. I was actually pretty okay with Pandaria. I feel like I'm the only one who actually enjoyed Pandaria.
I was okay with Pandaria. I had absolutely no problem with it. It was a well done expansion. I think part of the people's concerns is that they felt it was a tacked on expansion based off of an extremely insignificant and minor character.
Yeah.
And so it was like, why are we doing this as opposed to doing any of the other things that we should be doing? Why this bizarre distraction over here? And what the hell are these Shaws? And what is this nonsense? So I think it was the fact that they felt that the entire storyline took a left turn that was unnecessary. But I felt Pandaria was a really cool place to go, and I enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah.
So I had no issue with it. Here's when I say that I think, and I obviously saying things will kill WoW is to a degree hyperbole, but the reason I say that is because, again, we have had several significant misses. I mean, with Warlords of Draenor being the biggest and most recent and most notable, and they have lost subscribers down to the point where they basically said, we're no longer going to be reporting subscriber numbers. And there is an exceptional amount of hype coming up on this one. And as a result, I feel that if it does not deliver, especially with them having 15 months, because this is supposed to come out sometime. September is actually the date that got referenced at one point. It's supposed to come out September or earlier. And if it goes 15 months between now and Legion with nothing, there will be nothing.
That's what it's looking like, and that kind of kills me, because I know they're supposed to release a 6.3 at some point, but I have yet to download it. And I have yet to hear anything about it. And honestly, it looks like they just ended the story at 6.2, which is really strange. It's really weird. They always have a whatever 0.3 update.
No,
so
6.2 is the end of the storyline. 6.3 might give us some of the things that we were promised, like the transmog stuff and some other things, but it's not. It might give us some quality of life, but it's not going to give us any new story.
Which is super weird.
I mean, you might get. Is the time walking dungeons out? Are they done? I think they are. I don't remember.
Yeah, Time
you can
Walking's
tell
out.
I'm so invested. I've gone through the Tannin Jungle and completely no, I haven't even touched the Tannin Jungle. I
Yeah,
just like
Time Walking's a thing right now.
okay. So
Like
I
they're having it more be events kind of
well,
thing, but
it's,
yeah, Time Walking's a thing.
see, the thing that I found interesting was that they announced the and what was weird was that they showed if you looked at the cinematic the map they showed is actually the full map. When I did my area speculation video, I kept
Mm-hmm.
talking about the missing island, and apparently that missing island is relevant.
Yeah.
So I guess I was kind of on the nose for that one, but um, they said that they're doing something different with this dungeon, with this expansion that they haven't done before, in that you're no longer following a linear path. You no longer go from here to here to here to here. The first 4 zones you can take in any order you want. They will scale. So from level, I forget, whatever they're going up to, all 4 of those zones will scale to whatever level you are. And once you reach max level, Suramar, which is the zone in the very middle, that one will open up. And that will be the quote cataclysmic, conclusion of the storyline there. And I thought that's interesting. I approve of that because now you no longer have to follow everybody and be swamped in the same areas. You can go to wherever the hell you want, and everyone is going to be doing it at different paces. You can be in 4 different zones, and even if you are a level 102 and there's a level 108 over there, because it scales, you can team up.
Yeah, which is going to be really nice. If you because I think that was the biggest problem that I've had with some of with this previous expansion, especially, is that if you're not leveling up at the exact same point with everyone else in your team, you can't really level up together. You're going to have one character who's bored or everything. And also, I think it's just good that WoW is finally adding in these zoned level scaling zones. I think they've needed that for a while, and I'd really like to see that on the main Azeroth areas, just because there are some really great areas that you don't really have the challenge of. When you're like level 100, it's like, oh yeah, this is a great level 20 area, and you're just like, well, I didn't really experience it because I just killed everything.
Well, in all truth, I mean, really, they went back and 1 or 2 expansions ago, they went back and really just kind of killed the amount of XP because they felt that there was too much of a grind going from level 1 to I think 80 at that time.
Yeah.
And so they really just kind of went, and so you really don't spend much time in any of the vanilla zones anymore.
Yeah.
So they'd have to redo a lot of zones to be within the same. So like you'd have like every 10 levels you can be in any of multiple zones. You don't have to necessarily go all of them.
Yeah.
So, but it would be an interesting thing. I would like to see that. I just hope the storyline does not become Thrall's Quest for Vengeance Part 2. Because that is what Warlords of Draenor was. It didn't matter what the hell you did. It was Thrall's Quest for Vengeance, and you were just along for the ride.
Yeah. I felt that the Draenor storyline was more, oh hey, look, you're going into world, like I felt like it was attempting to pander to the fans of the original Warcraft.
Oh, it was.
And I think it failed because it was so obvious. It was just like, hey, look, that's a character from the past.
Wink, nod, wink, nod.
Nod,
Wink,
nod, wink,
nod.
wink. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
So I hope they're not doing that. I'm stupid. I'm seriously really excited about Legion, and I'm not sure why. I think it's just the World of War. I think it's the Blizzard hype machine is so good that I'm excited about Legion, even though I was so disappointed by Draenor. So.
Well, they also have the double punch of Warcraft coming out, which we'll talk about separately. But I mean, and again, if there is anything that Blizzard does well, it is cinematics and hype.
Yep.
They have. I don't know whether they have drugs in the air supply at BlizzCon, but they
Well, that's
get
why
their
I-
people riled.
That's why I thought it was so funny that they announced the new that they announced Legion in Germany, because German crowds do not react the way that American crowds are. The American crowds would go crazy for anything. The German crowds were like, "Oh, well, that sounds lovely," you know. I was like, "You guys would know that. You're like the hype masters."
See, what's really, one of the things that when I was researching this a little bit, one of the other commentators was reviewing this, and they said that if this does in fact come out in September, in fact it was I believe it was September 21st. I didn't write it down exactly, but it was late September. He said if it does come out, then that is once again right in front of another BlizzCon. Because again, BlizzCon being November, so again you have a 15 month silence, and then all of a sudden oh look, boom, right in front of BlizzCon, boom,
Boom shakalaka.
At which point they're like, well, what the hell do you announce at BlizzCon now? I mean, you don't want to announce, God forbid you announce another expansion after you've just launched one.
Yeah.
That will be interesting to find out what exactly they decide to announce.
Diablo 4.
Could be, I suppose.
Like, that's the only thing I can think of.
Maybe they'll do World of StarCraft. Who knows?
Or
I would play World of StarCraft.
I can name lots of people who would.
I would play lots of games.
Or maybe they could do an original intellectual property.
Bite your tongue.
They're doing Overwatch.
Yeah.
Project Titan got shelved, so bite your tongue.
Yep.
All right.
They've got to fund the fancy new stuff.
They do have to fund the fancy new stuff.
Okay, so moving away from games, we're going to skip over comics and literature because we have some
hopefully
guests next week.
They haven't gotten back to me just yet, but hopefully they...
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's going to be a very, very bizarre episode next week.
It's just going to be you two, because I'm going to be singing in an opera as a giant fairy putting kids to sleep. I'm the roofie fairy.
You're the roofie fairy.
Her name is Mickey Finn.
Yeah.
Mouse, will that be your title next week? Can you be the roofie fairy?
Yeah.
That depends on what our prospective co-hosts. God, I hope someone answers my email. I know. I was in talks with them, but then things got crazy for everyone involved, so we haven't actually reestablished contact. So,
well, we'll find out.
So we will find out. It might just be
fingers.
3 squirrels in a trench coat.
It could. No, Bill Cosby is just the roofie abuser. He's not the fairy.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on to television, and the reason why we named this episode "Everything
Old is
New." First up is Reboot. For those who don't remember this is
it's a reboot of Reboot.
It's a reboot of Reboot, which is sort of meta in its own way.
It's kind of like Matrix Divide by Neo kind of thing.
For those who don't remember, this originally came out in 1994. It technically had 3
Some
seasons.
of you were fetuses at the time, so... Some of you people watching were fetuses at the time.
Yes, some of you were fetuses at the time. Some of us are older. But it came out in 1994. There were technically 3 seasons to begin with. There was a 4th season, which was actually just 8 episodes. It was 2 4-episode mini arcs, which I actually enjoyed a great deal. But it was kind of a slight redesign at the time, but it didn't go beyond that, and it was meant to finally give some sort of level of closure to the storyline. Well, guess what? Somebody decided to Power Rangers this bitch up. And apparently there's going to be a reboot called Reboot the Guardian Code, which will be a 26 episodes, at least that's the initial call, and it will surround 4 16-year-old humans who get sucked into the net in order to become the new Guardians. Yeah, it's gonna be part animation and part live action. Can you say Power Rangers? I can't handle it.
Oh God, why? Why would you do that? Seriously.
Part of the charm of the show was because it was purely animated, and now you're bringing in the user. who was this, all powerful, omnipresent god thing, and you're going, oh, you're going to be the new Guardian. Yeah.
But you gotta pander to the youngins because their influence means so much.
The cartoon, it was a cartoon.
Well, this is,
But kids need
this
to see kids that are their own age. They can't. They they can't possibly identify with anything that's not exactly like them.
I can't
yeah.
imagine any 16-year-old who's going to care.
Well, let us be honest. Let us be completely and absolutely bluntly honest. This show isn't really for the kids. This show is for this show is for the 20 somethings or early 30 somethings who grew up with this cartoon and now have acquisitive power and who collect action figures and memorabilia and have an enormous nostalgia boner for everything that reminds them of their childhood. And so, of course, they go, oh, well, let's make this a show and let's see if we can sell it to them and see if we can get merchandise going.
I think that the only thing that gives me some bit of joy out of this is the fact that it's not really a total reboot, because Dot and Bob and Enzo and all those characters are in this.
So it's more like a relaunch than a reboot.
Essentially, I mean, the part of it is that since 2001 when the season 4 came out, let's be honest, well, since 1994 when the thing started, the internet has gone ridiculous.
There's a lot more porn.
Well, yeah, I don't think we'll be seeing that, but
what do you think the protective suits protect you from?
Spooge.
No, not that. Ew, no. No,
Anyway.
I started a vaguely comedic, somewhat slightly inappropriate topic, and you took it in a completely wrong direction, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
I took it to the wrong conclusion, but it was the logical one. So, anyways, see, now you just derailed my entire train of thought. I'm glad that those characters are there.
You feel dirty.
But oh no, I remember where I was going. But so I mean, you started off with Mainframe, thinking, oh, it kind of takes place in like some sort of giant cray somewhere, isolated from the universe, and then season 4 brought in, the internet, and it was much more, cron viruses and things like that. And since then, the complexity of the universe and the fact that the quote unquote mainframe now could touch cell phones and intelligent coffee pots and your refrigerator in your car.
That is rather frightening. I don't.
I mean, just the sheer extent to which it has exploded. I think that's what they're trying to explore. But I'm like going, do we need the 16-year-olds to do that? Can't they be actual characters from inside this world? Do they need to be humans? I mean, I'm just saying.
I mean, that's the magic of things like Steven Universe and Adventure Time. Everybody in there is actually from that universe.
Yeah.
I think. I actually haven't seen much of Steven Universe, so I could be making that one up for that one. But everybody in Adventure Time, like, they have the one boy, but they make it clear he's the only human, and he actually fits into the world. That's where he was born and raised, and,
And it's consistent within Steven Universe, although we'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay.
But there is no official launch date for this, so I will sit in the corner and apprehensively wait for it.
Or shake your fist at the clouds.
Shake my fist at the clouds. No.
It's calling you an old man.
No, I think I'll just watch YouTube reruns of season 4. So.
So, moving on to another wellspring of original ideas.
Greatest American Hero.
Now, the majority of you, including the older people, both who were fetuses in the 70s or were not even fetuses in the 70s, very few people actually remember this show except for a very devoted niche fandom.
I don't know why he's picking on the fetuses from the 70s, because this is a 1981 show, but...
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But if you were a fetus in the late 70s, you still didn't catch this show. However, this show, The Greatest American Hero, came out in 1981. It was actually pretty funny, actually pretty entertaining American cult classic about a man who receives this super suit, which grants him superpowers, but he doesn't have the manual, so he doesn't know how to operate the suit. So hijinks ensue. Well, Fox has done a preemptive buy, and they have given commitment to the pilot production for a reboot of this series.
Yeah. So there you go.
Um,
This is this. I mean, part of the comedy of the original show was that the guy he was a teacher, if I recall correctly.
he was a teacher, I believe. Yes.
And he didn't want this damn suit,
No.
but he had no manual, so he had no real idea how to operate it. Everything he discovered out of these superpowers was pure happenstance, accident, or whatnot. Um, so I'm curious. I assume it's going to follow the same basic premise. I don't know if he'll be a teacher, but I believe the term they used was great power fails to meet great responsibility.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
But for those of you who are talking about the theme song, yes, the theme song, believe it or not, was extremely popular. It actually hit number 2 on the Billboard 100 in 1981. So that's probably the one way most of you will know it, just by its theme
Yes.
song.
Yeah.
The show was entertaining. I did manage to catch reruns back when Nick and Knight was doing some reruns of the show. I didn't see it. It didn't come to Ecuador until much later on, because everything came late to Ecuador. Like we experienced the '90s, the '80s during the '90s, so it was a little bit confusing. Um, so I didn't actually get to watch much of the show until much later, and I think it was charming and funny. Considering it's Fox doing the reboot, I am quite sure that those elements will not be in the show.
Well, Fox TV
It's hit and miss for me, really.
it is hit or miss. So that's why I'm saying it could be great. It could suck.
It could suck, yes.
I mean, it's not like they're making a movie of it. Are they making a movie of it? Because if it's a movie, it's going to be disastrous.
True. They do have the directing duo that was responsible for the movie version of 21 Jump Street, which was an '80s TV show, and it was pretty successful in theaters. So we'll see.
They even got a sequel. I don't know, although
They
I don't
even got a
recall the
sequel.
sequel doing very well. But
Did they? Is the sequel out already?
yes,
Oh.
22 Jump Street's already out.
Yep.
I didn't watch the first one. I know it was successful, but I just didn't really feel. I didn't watch 21 Jump Street when it was out on television, so I didn't really feel like I wanted to watch the.
Well, for all intents and purposes, as far as I'm concerned, the TV series, which was meant to be serious, and the movie, which is obviously just a comedy,
Yeah.
have nothing to do with each other other than a name and a basic premise.
Yeah.
So, who knows?
I think they
mean,
had Johnny Depp in both of them.
quite possibly. I don't recall if Johnny Depp actually appeared. He might have.
Like, I thought that was his big breakout role.
Oh, he was his breakout role for the TV show. Absolutely.
Yeah, he played a character. He played this. He played a character in 21 Jump Street the movie, just
Did
a
he-
very
did-
minor character.
Did he play an eccentric?
It was more of a
That's all he does.
cameo.
So,
It was more of a cameo than anything else.
Hey, if you've been hanging around Tim Burton and Helena Bonham Carter for a long time, you default to eccentric.
I think the three of them feed off each other in some sort of parasitic vampire relationship.
I thought Helena Bonham Carter was actually divorcing what's his face.
She did. Well,
It
they were
doesn't-
never married.
Just because they're not married doesn't mean they don't feed off each other.
Okay, okay.
They're still friends, so
Oh.
they have white makeup at mascara parties.
Yes, I think they buy it in bulk. Possibly
So-
it's cocaine. I don't know.
Could be. It
Could
could
be,
be.
could be.
That could explain a lot of things. So let's go on to the next
Our
old
next
news
reboot
thing,
is the $6 Million Man.
which should be now $6 billion. Man.
Well, that's the funny thing is that they're actually thinking of renaming it the $6 Million Man only because of costs. Because
Because
Inflation.
of inflation.
one of the comments I was making while writing this down was, you can't even get good plastic surgery for $6 million these
Why not?
days.
Why not? Why not just call it the debt ceiling $1 million man?
The
I
debt
don't know.
ceiling dollar man. The
We need
national debt dollar man.
we need to fund this super agent. Let's raise the debt ceiling.
Uh-huh.
But this is actually looking at instead of even though we're doing this in the TV show section, it's because it was a TV show back in the day with Lee Majors as the titular character.
And you remember that
But
da
Lee
da da
Majors is a
da da.
little long in the tooth these days, and so they're looking at bringing Mark Wahlberg in.
Yeah, Majors is going to be cameoing as the $10 man now.
he's gonna be just the dude who has a
He's,
time
he-
box.
he's going
built
to be
in.
he's going to be the spare change man.
So yeah, they're looking at possibly redoing this one as a movie, which is I don't hate it. I don't hate the idea. I'd be curious to see how this goes.
It's definitely a franchise we have not seen in a long time.
A long time.
I would like to see the Bionic Woman come back too.
Well, she came in after this, so I
Yeah.
mean, obviously, if this works, then it obviously opens the door for the $6 billion man and the Bionic Woman as a team up. I guess I don't know.
That'll be the $12 billion duo.
The $12 billion duo. So
How many Grosjean is that?
I don't know.
16 Fennec. I don't know.
16 Phoenix.
Fennec. Never mind. I'm doing a currency joke, you doof.
Oh, because I was gonna say that's a lot of little foxes running around with big
No.
ears.
There's a difference between Phoenix, and Fennec. Notice the consonant cluster.
Lieutenant Hero, Bionic Woman. Yes, if I recall correctly, there was in fact a reboot of it on television. I want to say maybe 10 years ago.
I'm gonna check
I'd
that.
have to go back. There was one. It did not last long.
It was in 2007, and
Okay,
it
so
lasted.
8 years ago.
Yeah.
It
Well.
wasn't that far off.
Yeah, 8 years ago. And how many episodes were produced?
Not that many.
8.
There you go.
And
You are dead on correct, sir.
Yeah.
That's why we
and
love our
starring
audience.
starring Michelle Ryan.
That's why we love you guys. You guys are you're. It's like being on the Wendy Williams show. You are our co-hosts, our silent co-hosts.
Uh-huh.
You're a fact checkers.
Yeah.
So really, right now we're not sure when Wahlberg would be able to do this movie. If it does happen, we're not sure when, because he's already committed to Daddy's Home, which is the one he's doing with Will Ferrell. There's another one called Deepwater Horizon, which has to do with the BP oil spill.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's supposed to be, I guess, another one called a thriller called Shooter, which no one knows when the hell that will hit, but it has to do with TNT and Paramount. So we have no idea when
hopefully we will get some confirmed shots of underwear. Because that's what he does.
Well, yeah, I know. That's all he does. I'm sure there'll be underwear everywhere.
I'm sure we'll probably get a scene running in slow motion with in his underwear with the Bionic Man theme playing in the background. Da 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 da. What?
Well, I'm sure somebody could, just fan do that one. I'm
Yeah.
sure it's out there
I am
somewhere.
pretty sure someone should do that. I mean,
And let's not forget, he's supposed to be in a Transformers movie at some point too. So,
he's a busy man.
Foof, I wish Shooter was about Jello-based alcohol. I really do, because that would make me laugh. I think it should be about a sniper who has to get verschnookered in order to go out and do his job. So, moving on to things that are being rebooted, because this at least makes us joyous. Star Trek.
It makes someone joyous. I'm
Well,
sorry.
okay, let me be honest. I'm happy in the fact that I love Star Trek TV show. I don't have nearly enough TV shows that I get to watch these days, and the ones I do watch are on freaking HBO, for God's sake. So I am desperate for something quality to come back onto the normal networks. I mean, I do get honestly Once Upon a Time, but that's not going to last forever.
I don't consider Once Upon a Time to be quality. I
Well,
love it. I don't
that's
consider it to be quality.
that's you.
It's a giant fan fiction.
Yes.
It's my romance novel. Okay, it's my
It's
trash
okay.
TV. Leave me alone.
it's when you sit down so you can watch your stories.
That is my story.
Yes.
That is totally my version of stories.
Yep.
And so they have announced that CBS is going to be giving the nod to a new Star Trek series based presumably on the J.J. Abrams reboot. This will be coming to TV and to a new service called CBS All Access, which charges about $6 a month. We don't know what the hell that is, but it's a something.
It's a something.
It's a something. This will be coming in January of 2017, so we'll be getting probably details on this starting early next year, because they'll obviously need to cast up and go from there. We don't know when in the rebooted timeline it will take place, so it could take place during the movies. It could be their incarnation of Next Generation, for crying out loud. Tom Hardy as a young Picard.
That's like unless we're skipping forward about 100 years in the future or so.
Yeah, and I don't think they would want to do that because I think that would cut into the control they have over the movie. So
Yeah.
I suspect it would be a separate ship.
Well, here's the thing. One of the things that I am very, 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 very skeptical about is basically how truly Star Trek this show might be, since the things that made Star Trek have sort of eroded to the point of not being there at all. Starting from, I'd say, the end of maybe, through the middle to the end of Deep Space Nine, and then every subsequent show and movie has sort of lost more and more of the philosophical background of Star Trek. And now it's that J.J. Abrams movie. I thought it was a very nice, very fun science fiction action movie, which I felt was more of a Star Wars movie in the guise of a Star Trek movie than an actual Star Trek movie. So I am healthily skeptical about just how much of a Star Trek show this is going to be.
Well, Mouse, when they cast, you should go apply so that you can put the opera back against space opera.
I'm sorry, that already happened in Voyager. The Singing Doctor?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people who
He
pretend
sang-
that
Robert Picardo.
He sang, Sotto la cronda della torrentica.
Well, he
Oh,
sang
did
a
you
lot
say
of stuff.
DS9?
Yeah.
Alexander Siddig?
That was about that?
Alexander Siddig.
Oh,
Or Siddig El Fadil, if you want to go by his real name.
yes.
Yeah, he
That's
is.
his name, yes.
He currently plays the Prince of Dorne in Game of Thrones.
He does he?
He does.
I don't watch Game of Thrones. I know people really like it. I just have a thing about everybody dying. Although Cece doesn't have that thing, so she watches Game of Thrones.
Everybody dying is my thing, but
Yeah.
in a different way.
I'm like,
It makes him sad, but it brings me deep-seated joy. So I love Game of Thrones. People are like,
She
"Who's gonna die?"
thrives.
They're like, "Oh no, they're gonna kill him," and I'm like, "Yes,
yeah,
die."
as the saying goes, don't bug George Martin for another. When he's going to release the next book or another Stark will die.
Another character gets it.
Yeah. Yep.
Hi guys, hi King Sticky Sheets.
Yes.
Okay, so I have this is just evidence that we're not all of the same brain here. This is a forum, a plethora of geekdom here, a world of geekdom. We are not all of the same persuasion, so to speak. So hey, I'm all for a Star Trek thing. Mouse, you go be wary.
I think it's
I will
entirely
be-
too early to cast any kind of judgment because all they've said is there might be a Star Trek TV show.
Oh, it's not there might be.
mean,
There
there
will
is.
be. That's what they
I'm
said.
not. I'm not.
They haven't told
casting
us any-
judgment. I'm just being I'm just reserving and being very healthily skeptical based on what has come up to this point, including the reboot of the franchise with J.J. Abrams.
And considering how much I have issues with the movies, the fact that I'm encouraged that there's going to be a TV show, I mean, Now,
I
if episode one is a wink, wink, nod to episode one of the original series, I will choke a bitch out. I'm telling you now.
well, I guess that the question that will be answered or should be answered soon is what tone they are going to aim for. Whether they're going to go for the more um, paused and reflective tone of the original series with your little action sequences in between,
Except it
um,
was hilariously bad. Please
with
keep that in mind.
hilariously bad choreography that William
No, the
Shatner
show was
finds.
hilariously bad, and this is talking to someone who has marathoned the entire series multiple times. It's a lot of fun, but it's hilariously bad. They canceled that show for a very good reason. It was
Spock's
bad.
brain.
It was bad. Yes, Spock's brain is one of the least offensive of the bad episodes.
Well,
Seriously.
Well,
you have your pot boilers, but then you have episodes like City on the Edge of Forever that make you go, okay, I can see why this show has a fandom.
Yes.
I look at it this way. I mean, it's been a while. I mean, the problem that we ran into previously is that we went Next Generation, DS9, Voyager, to Enterprise. They ran out of crap. I mean, they milked it until that udder was just hanging, and they didn't go. Perhaps we should take a little break and allow controversy to bubble for a while, because that's the key thing, is that they explore modern day themes through extraterrestrial
Well, that's the whole
eyes, I
concept
suppose.
of ultimately the aim of science fiction, and this is something that Isaac Asimov himself defined. It's not about the gadgets, it's not about space, but ultimately it is about exploring the human condition and the whole concept of the new sciences and new discoveries and even new races as a storytelling element ultimately has to say something or explore something about the human condition or criticize something about the human condition. That is the point of speculative science fiction, which is what Roddenberry tried to do, and at sometimes succeeded and at other times failed hilariously, but in a very entertaining way.
I think that they had. I actually disagree with you because you said that um, that they lost that philosophical standpoint the further along the series the various series went through. I don't think they ever really lost that. You can I think
Voyager,
the new
though.
Voyager, if you ever know, Voyager was very, very, very philosophical. It was poorly done in many times. Don't get me wrong; it wasn't always
The
good.
problem
But
with Voyager is that a lot of the cast had no chemistry together.
yes,
And the
well, I think
ending.
the writing was just terrible. I no, the writing was just terrible. Frankly, the biggest problem was that Captain Janeway is a woman, and they don't know how to write women
Women.
as a woman, because they would write her in turn this crazy psycho super strict bitch, and they would write her up at other times. I am so weak and I need help. Like they couldn't really decide.
That
She would
certainly
her
explained
personality
the slash
would
fiction
vary.
that I'd see.
Yeah, her personality would vary from episode to episode.
Now,
So
I have to admit, I really did love Kate Mulgrew as Janeway, even though,
too.
again, her character was written in such an erratic and totally batshit crazy way.
Yep,
Um,
I think she got the short end of the stick there.
I do think that with better writing, we could have finally had an iconic Starfleet captain who was actually well written, but unfortunately, she arrived too late
Yeah.
to the game.
Well, in all fairness, it's like watching DS9. I watched the first like 2 seasons of it, and I'm going, I cannot stand this. And it wasn't until the Dominion War kicked in that I started going, okay, now it's getting interesting. Now it has found its footing, and it was interesting. And then Voyager came along, and the first season, I'm like, I'll watch it because I like Kate Mulgrew, but that's about it. I can't stand anybody else on the damn show. And then finally they got Jerry Ryan in there and gave me my 6 of 9, 7 of 9. I mean,
Yeah, 7 of 9.
that was intentional actually.
But yeah, so I just needed to put in my 2 cents that I don't think that most of the TV series or things had actually abandoned that those philosophical ideas. I think that they I didn't like Into Darkness because I thought they ham-fisted a lot of it. I think they had tried to, but I think it was very clumsily done.
I still think that was a little too much of the wink, wink, nod, nod. I think it was a story that just missed. I think
Yeah,
I think it was literally just on the rim, and they just yeah.
there were a number of times where they used certain plot devices to be like, "Hey, look, Wrath of Khan," and it was clumsily done. I just felt like it was, like I said, ham-fisted. I thought it was just a ham-fisted thing. But in any case, I think it's too early to say
What this might turn out to be.
what this TV might turn out to be. Like, it's all that we know is that there's going to be a TV show. We don't really know who's directing it. We don't know who's starring it. We know there's one writer.
Well,
we know one of the
he's not even
writers.
the writer. He's the executive producer. So.
Oh yeah. So even then, we don't know what it's going to be like. So, yeah. So
Foof is pointing out he's making a good point. Is that when at the point that Babylon 5 and DS9 were on it, sometimes depending on where you were, they were occasionally on the same channel, and I was sitting there making the comment that Babylon 5, that was a glorious show. The characters, every character was perfection. They meshed well. There were a few episodes where it went.
and J. Michael Straczynski wrote the entire plot line before they ever created the first show.
Which is a good way for creators to start.
Yeah. So I mean, it was just such a wonderful show. I think it's kind of hard to compare the two because it was so good. It was so
He actually responded
well
to something
done.
I sent to him once. So
Nice. So what Foom says is, tonight on Babylon 5, actual story takes place. Then on Deep Space Nine, the kid's being seduced by an alien Totsi. LOLs. And that's kind of how I felt. I do have to admit that the only time I actually liked Deep Space Nine, I'm a sucker for Luoxana Troy. I think that character...
Majel Barrett is the sex. No matter what age she is, she's hot.
And I'm sorry, Luoxana Troy, every time I saw Luoxana Troy come in The Next Generation, I just envisioned her as an opera singer because she had the whole opera singer diva thing going on. And the episodes where she showed up in Deep Space Nine were always the very few of the episodes that I actually enjoyed. Especially when she's stuck in the elevator and she takes off her wig to reveal,
well. Majel Barrett's just wonderful and everything. So.
Yeah. Was wonderful, alas.
Yes.
My drawback is that I made the mistake of, when Next Generation came out, I actually made the mistake of going to a Star Trek convention and buying the blooper reel. And finding out that Deanna Troi, the actress Marina Sirtis was actually a porn star.
Yes.
And when I found that out, and I'm like going, I can no longer watch her. It's like going, I'm taking psychological advice from the porn star.
No. Just put it into your head. Prior to her Starfleet work, Deanna Troi was a sex therapist.
Yes.
A very hands-on sex therapist.
Very hands-on, yes. So, yeah. So that, I mean, she's hysterical. I saw her at the convention. She's hysterical. All the cast, I love them all. But anyway, so moving on.
Why are you so mean to Will Wheaton?
We talked about Archie's reboot in the comic section a couple episodes ago.
And the the reboot was done by Mark Waid, and it's actually a very good reboot.
It's still a good reboot, and it's got remarkable art, and it's bringing the story into a more contemporary setting. And then I came across this the other day. CW is wanting to bring you Archie. Except they're going to call it Riverdale, because that's where it takes place, for those who don't know that. Spoilers. I am going to try and be spoiler-free. I'm sorry. I'm going to try. I'll try. But they are revamping a lot of the characters, because, CW and, their issue with white, able-bodied characters, as they put it. So you're going to end up with, your main character, Archie, who is probably the closest to what he is in the comic. Your boyish good looks, wanting to run his little band, and But then you're going to have characters like Jughead, who is hard of hearing, emo, good looking, which I always thought Jughead was not supposed to be that good looking.
Yeah, he was supposed to be the geeky friend. He was. Let's be honest. Jughead was a stoner. They just couldn't write that he was a stoner. He was skinny and hungry all of the time, and he dressed like a stoner.
He was the Shaggy of the damn series.
He was the Shaggy of the series. Jughead was the stoner stereotype. In this one, he is the emo heartthrob.
Hearing impaired, emo heartthrob.
Hearing impaired, emo heartthrob.
I'm okay with this, actually. I know this sounds a little strange, but I have no problems with them trying to diversify the cast. I mean, the original comic book is very, we're white, middle class.
Here's the thing.
White middle class things to be white and middle class about.
Here's the thing. The issue is not the racial diversity, whatever. Archie could be played by a black actor. I wouldn't care. The problem is the whole emo heartthrob thing, and then the fact that Betty is struggling with her ADHD medication, Adderall. This is freaking Archie. So we're.
But we did praise Archie earlier. The new for
the Mark Waid,
growing
I know,
up.
but here's the thing. This is CW. I do not think that they have Mark Waid's touch with storytelling to approach things in this manner. Like just by their release, it really does strike me as they're doing this we have to fill in these checkbox, we have to get this down. So it feels like when Saved by the Bell tried to do the caffeine pills episode in a way.
Well, see, the thing that gets me is that it's like you. I have no problem with diversity in the casting, because that is what gives flavor to the show while you're watching a TV show, and brings in a broader audience. I was just looking at for Veronica. Veronica is going to be played by a Latina, which again, I have no problem with this, but her famously flustered father, as they put it, will be absent from the series because he's going to be sent to prison for a scandalous crime. I'm like, what? Why gotta be the Latina's father? What?
Of course.
Well, I don't get that.
Look, and let me guess. Since he's been sent to prison for a crime, I bet you she's the daughter of some Central American drug lord. That Mr. Lake is a drug lord, or he was busted up on drug charges or whatever, and that's where the money comes from. I bet you money.
All I know is I saw that and I'm going, what? Why it gotta be hers? What?
Yeah, seriously.
Why can't Jughead's father be in jail?
And if you want a Latina character, you can have Josie from the Josie and the Pussycats, who was a very, very popular character, or Sabrina. I don't know if they're gonna bring Sabrina, because Sabrina was, a spin-off of Archie's, but whatever. Or if you make her Latina, don't make her father be a deadbeat jail dad.
It doesn't even say deadbeat. It's just like he's in prison, and I'm like going.
He's in prison. If you're gonna be, we want to have, a multitude of different ethnicities represented. Okay, but then you go and you do this, which is like the standard cliche stereotype. So no, come on.
The other funny thing I saw is that they're talking about Archie Andrews and boyish good looks and and chases all the girls, but he has a dark secret. And I'm like, I hope to God he's a serial killer.
No, see. Okay,
I'm going to be honest. My first thought was that he's gay.
Gay.
Because that's the in thing right now, to be controversial in your TV shows, is to be like, that character's gay! Dun, dun, and that most of America is actually totally fine with this. Yeah.
But I think if they made Archie gay, it would complete the day that he's outed. It's probably going to involve Jean Grey. The day he's outed is going. Mouse knows why. Is going to destroy. Is going to destroy the dynamic, because the entire premise is supposed to be that bizarre love triangle thing.
The love triangle between Archie and Veronica, and occasionally random. What was her name? Melody, the random blonde girl who would come along, and he would you know who I'm talking about. Not she's not from the Pussycats. She was just this random blonde girl who, um, what was his name? Dan.
Yes,
Oh,
both. He's a werewolf. It should be a Teen Wolf crossover.
okay. If Archie turns out to be a werewolf, I
I
will
will
retract
watch.
everything I have said.
I will
I
watch.
will watch the hell out of that. And if Veronica turns out to be a vampire slayer, or you know,
Yes, she's secretly from the
well, no,
Buffyverse.
no, come on, no. That is a potential gold mine because you already have the supernatural elements in the Archie comics. You've got Sabrina and all of her witch aunts and all of the monsters that she hangs out with. So why just not,
I,
go full Gonzo?
like I said, if they tap the Vampire Diaries for this crap, I'm still there. I'm there.
Take a lead from Welcome to Night Vale and just call it Welcome to Riverdale.
So again, this is another thing that I am waiting to hold back judgment on. They haven't cast anything, they haven't shot anything, we haven't really seen much of the plot. We just know this is the premise of the show. And it could be that they're trying, and I think they're trying to make the show be more mature. The question is whether or not it's actually going to be more mature or just more angsty.
Yeah, to me, again, when I said, the casting for Jughead as the emo heartthrob, and then you've got Veronica's dad, it does feel a little bit like, they're trying to pull some stunts there. And you remember, and when Mark Waid was interviewed when he was doing the relaunch of the Archie comics, he said,
Mhm.
it is very, I'm not going to make this adult and mature, which basically, page one, the dirty boy's bathroom, we see Jughead bent over the toilet with a heroin needle sticking out of his arm, and he said any monkey with a typewriter can do that, and that's not good storytelling. And you know when I read the details of what direction the show wants to go in, I just get a glimpse of Mark Waid saying that almost as if he said, they're gonna make a TV show and they might go in this direction.
And maybe not. Um, I don't know about you guys, but I actually remember high school pretty well, and I don't really remember it being very fun. I remember a lot of my friends having problems like this. I remember having hearing impaired friends who were kind of emo about it because they didn't like being hearing impaired. Although I remember friends who had trouble with medications, who were wealthy, but they had parents in prison. I remember a lot of stuff like this. I remember it being like sticks very fresh in my mind that this is very real in some ways. If they do it well, this could actually be a really fascinating and a heartbreaking show to watch.
And
But I remember it not being fun at all. Of course, I was not really very popular or anything, but I didn't have a ton of friends.
in all fairness,
The friends I had were told to be my friend by the choir director.
I had I remember high school very well. I hated it. I had a very very close knit group of friends, and we didn't vary from each other in the 4 years that we were there. But I also remember Beverly Hills 90210, and I don't have an issue with an appropriately mature storyline of this group of friends, but then I go, does it have to be Archie? It's the whole thing. Did it need to be Jim and the Holograms? No, it could be just yet another teen, band movie.
Yeah.
It didn't
It,
need to. It didn't need to take the IP and screw with it so much. So that's why I say, does it need to be Archie? No, it could be just anybody.
well,
But
it's
the fact
more.
that they're specifically pulling on Archie means that they're trying to pull something from that franchise that is, and I worry about making too much of a change from it negates that.
I guess it comes down to the point where you're talking about whether certain interpretations are valid or not. And, an artist will tell you, well, all interpretations are valid. That is fine. But when we're talking about the original conception, it was a silly teen comic. Yes, whatever. Times have changed. Um, and I do believe it is appropriate to have a more mature, maybe, interspersed with a comedy storytelling like Mark Waid is doing. I trust Mark Wade to tell stories that have a good balance of one or the other. Currently, I do not trust CW to do that, especially with a lot of how a lot of TV shows go. Well, we had a lot of very strong reaction with this episode where I don't know, Betty and Veronica do coke together. We need to we need to go seedier and let's like expose the dark underbelly of Riverdale because that's how television execs think a lot of the time. So, I am not as trusting with CW as I am with Mark Wade.
So, like CC said, nothing's been cast. It's just an announcement of a show. So, I'm curious to see where it goes. But like I said, if there's a vampire involved or a werewolf, I'm on it.
Archie Werewolf.
I'm totally on it.
People out there, I want to see fan art of Archie Werewolf. That has to happen.
It can be done.
There's nothing about this casting that says it can't be comedic.
No.
You can have these characters struggling with real things, and they can still be funny.
Yeah.
Some of the funniest characters I know are emo because they're so angsty, and it's kind of hilarious.
It could be Archie Glee for all that matters. I mean, we don't know until we see the show. So
yeah.
Oh, okay. No, I predict that if the show is successful, the first thing we'll have is a spin-off of the Riverdale Glee Club.
Although if they bring in Josie and the Pussycats, I'm all over that too.
Oh hell yeah! Someone has to do a franchise, a silly franchise of an old girl band correctly, and Gem and the Holograms did not do that. So
we'll see.
Moving on. Speaking of dark underbellies, Steven Universe. I love this show. I do. And then I don't even know. Mouse Star. I don't even know where to go with this. You take it first.
This is one of those things. So it's heartbreaking and it's just horrible. But we have a very, very talented artist by the name of Paige Paz, who is a 19-year-old artist from Arizona, and she usually goes by Zami. That's two eyes. She posted some truly beautiful art. Her interpretation of Steven Universe characters, especially beautiful, I think, is her image of Rose Quartz. Now, as we know, Rose Quartz is a very nicely curvaceous woman. She has the body of a woman who is
Zoftig. She's very Zoftig.
She's very Rubenesque.
Yes.
And she's not demeaned or joked at because of her figure. She's actually a kick-ass character.
She's warm. She's a motherly figure. She is also very powerful, and absent, and a noted and that basically everyone notes that she's gone and that she is a hole in their life because she's absent. So it is not. There's no comedy about her. In as much that. She is very much a driving force in her absence and very much loved. So there's no, and this is a show that is very inclusive. It touches on gender identities and gender roles and body acceptance
and consent, as we talked about in an earlier episode.
Absolutely. So it is a show that is very much, and it does this all in a very child-friendly way, such that adults get it, children may not necessarily get it, but it drives home very good messages, to be digested mentally and emotionally. And there are obviously there's a huge fan base for this, just like every good series gets its own fan base. And for the most part, the fan base is meant to be just as inclusive and accepting. And then something like what happened with Paige Paz occurs, where she puts out on her Tumblr, and we've all been warned of Tumblr, the special snowflakes that occur there, puts out her interpretation of these characters. And
can you show them? Or
I don't have her permission, so I'm not going to put them up. I mean, people can go out and look them up. I mean,
yes, look them up.
It's not like they're hidden. But
they're very beautiful.
And the first thing that they talk about is that her picture of Rose Quartz is not nearly fat enough. Essentially, they basically say that she is fat shaming Rose by making her thinner. Now,
if you've seen the photo,
I have seen the picture. She is in
Uh,
no way thin.
She is
She is
exactly the same build. The only difference that I notice is the fact that her chin is a lot more defined, and that's it
pauses.
pages.
And that's
Exactly.
partially because she has hair right here.
Yeah,
Right. She has her all. She has the hair is extremely detailed. It is a stylistic piece. The dress that she normally, and this I think is where it comes in.
she's
It's
wearing a
not.
sundress.
She's wearing a very frilly little sundress, which is shorter, comes only to the thighs,
Uh-huh.
as opposed to the dress that she is normally portrayed in the show, which is full and goes all the way to the floor, but
Hmm.
adds more girth down around her legs.
Yeah.
So this is so if I were to take up little measurements and proportions, it might be a
It's
little thinner, but it is
no,
by
actually,
no means thin.
I have measured the proportions. They're exactly the same. They're,
And so
the
people
hips, the bust, and the waist are exactly the same.
So people basically went to town on her for fat shaming Rose Quartz. On top of that, one of the fusion characters, Sardonyx, which is a fusion of Pearl and Garnet, who is admittedly a dark skinned character on the show, and is portrayed by an African American voice actress. When she appears in the show, she appears like she should potentially be of African American descent.
Hmm.
When Paige did this picture, her interpretation, which I thought was stunning, she has the same dark skin color,
Hmm.
but her hair is not. They basically said that she was whitewashing the character because of her hair, which was extremely curly, but in sort of a would you say
It's
Page Boy esque kind of way.
it's not Page Boy-esque at all. She has like the Betty Page bangs coming down to her side, and then she has like it's like a cyclone bouffant up in the top. It's very visually arresting. I like it a lot.
Because I don't know any white person who has ever had that hair.
Yeah.
Well, see, the thing is, I saw that and I thought, okay, I know lots of black women who have that hairstyle. And on top of that, what kind of got me was you're accusing her of whitewashing this character who has obviously got dark skin, obviously matches the coloration perfectly, and it's
She
just
hasn't
a
changed the
stylistic
proportions
interpretation
of
of
her.
the hair.
Yeah.
And,
She hasn't changed the proportions of the figure. She hasn't changed anything about certain facial features.
yeah,
Goodness forbid people change their hairdo.
I mean,
Like,
and let's be honest, the character in the show has a triangle for her hair. We
Yeah.
have no idea what the texture of that triangle is. So I'm like, do you expect it to have dimples like a fro, or do you want solid like candy corn? What do you want?
also, I think it's super racist to just think that all black people have the same hair.
Yeah.
Now,
Or that
mind
or that all black people should only have, they should never change their hairstyle, should never color their hairstyle.
Well,
I mean,
not-
hello, have you seen Beyonce?
not even that. We have to remember fundamentally, this is not a human being.
They're aliens.
This is a
They're alien
gem that is
rocks.
projecting a body around itself, and further, this is what I mean. Garnet. See, they go back to being to the fact that it's garnet, and they say garnet is the big square fro thing, and they said but garnet is made up of two characters, one of whom has a fro-like hair, and one of whom has straight hair. So when they fuse to make Garnet, that theoretically, if you're going to go with nationalities, makes Garnet a mixed race.
Yeah.
Further, you now add Garnet with Pearl, who is also straight-haired, and make Sardonyx, you have another mixed race character if you're going by race.
Yeah, he included Pearl's. If you look at Pearl, she has the little bangs. Well, these are not bangs. Like, what do you call that, Cece? When you've got your hair and it goes like this? I should know, but I don't.
Like that. I mean,
Huh?
you just curl the bottoms. I mean,
It's a
Yeah,
bob.
it's kind of like a bob, like a curled bob, and Pearl has that. And this character, as she has portrayed it, has that element from Pearl's hair.
So
in any case, I've like honestly, when I first saw these two pictures, I couldn't figure out what was wrong with them. Maybe that's just the way that I view things, but I honestly couldn't I looked at the one character and they said and I said they drew her too skinny. That's obviously not skinny. And I said I don't know how that's could possibly be seen as whitewashing anyone.
Yeah.
Well, that,
The
part of the complaints that came out of this is, I guess some people went and looked back at her, I guess her portfolio, and amongst them, and this is shame on you, My Little Pony fans. One of them had to do with a Indian incarnation of Fluttershy, I guess, from My Little Pony, and they go, "It's much too red to be natural." I'm going, "It's a fucking magical
It's a
pony.
pony.
it's
What
a
are you
it's a
talking about?"
pony. Yeah.
It's a pony.
And the fact that she said, so it's much too red to be natural, and it culturally appropriates in an appropriate manner, in an inappropriate manner. It stereotypes the Native American garb, and I'm going, it's a pony. She even apologized for the entire. I'm going, what do you seriously? You want her to take My Little Pony and draw culturally appropriate attire on it? That would be a saddle.
The fact remains, this is, simply put, this is not people who are trying to make the world better through
Yeah.
any kind of cultural inclusivity or trying to help boost non-white characters in TV shows. This is bullies. This is just a bunch of people who want to pitch a fit about something. They found this poor girl and they said, "Well, this isn't quite exactly the way that I like it, so we're gonna give you all these." Tell you all these horrific things and bully you and bully you and bully you. People who like the Steven universe are people who really like things that are open and inclusive. So it really doesn't make sense to me that they would pick her out. And the fact that there's a lot of talks about that it looks like she attempted suicide and is currently in treatment for for depression and suicidal thoughts, which
Yes.
is tragic. And I'm sure I speak for all of us when we say we genuinely hope you can find your way with that, because that's awful and nobody should ever deal with that kind of thing. And this this level of bullying probably isn't the only factor that drove her to this level of reaction. But the fact remains that this kind of thing can happen. And this is like anti-bullying campaigns, I think, are incredibly important in schools. And there are a lot of people who say, "I'm not a bully, I stand up for other people." And this is clearly bullying. When I say bullying, I don't mean, oh, well, the occasional giggling behind someone's back or saying something mean. There are different levels of bullying, and this is very extreme.
This is hostile.
This is hostile, this is extreme, and
This is poisonous. I would look for a different word than bullying, because this is not just pestering. This is not just the occasional hostile comment. This is insidious, poisonous, dyspeptic mob mentality. This is what it
Yeah.
is. It's dyspeptic mob mentality, and
thank you.
it is absolutely inexcusable and morally reprehensible.
Yes.
I saw somebody had posted a graphic of Rose Quartz responding to this, basically saying Rose is disappointed in you.
Ooh.
And I'm going, yeah, she would be. She would be completely
Yeah.
disappointed, because this is not what the show is meant to be.
No.
I mean, again, and somebody else, there had been another meme post that basically said something along the lines of, "So you disagree with the way this character is portrayed?" Well, yes. Then, and the response to that is, then stop watching her.
Yeah.
Block her and stop watching her. Well, it needs to be, no. You're the only one who takes offense at this.
Yes.
So this is what you do. Not everyone's offended. Therefore,
And-
the rest of us can go on watching her. We don't need you to defend us.
And remember, the creators themselves said, "Go and draw whatever the hell you want."
I mean, yes, Amethyst. They have pictures of the character is typically smaller and a little bit girthier. But again, this is a manifestation of her perception of herself. She could just as easily, and did in fact in the show, look like Pearl, because she can shapeshift.
Yeah.
She is a projection. So I'm like, unless she goes and draws the gem looking like some other gem, which is idiotic. Uh, yeah, this is blah, and it's going to actually look like a diamond because I can. Okay,
Yeah.
again, draw your it's fan art.
Hmm.
Draw the way the character speaks to you.
Yeah.
And this is really nice fan art too. Anybody who's seen these photos, who'd seen these pictures, would say, these are hands down actually gorgeous interpretations of
They're
these
extremely
characters.
stylistic. They're well done. They're polished.
They're very polished. They're very well done.
I mean, these would sell at conventions. I've been to conventions. These would sell.
Yeah,
Hmm.
these would sell quite well.
Yes. So I'm telling you, Steven Universe fandom, calm the fuck down.
Yes.
It really bothers me because this show is all about being accepted, finding that acceptance,
Yeah, and to hear this, it's just simply disappointing.
It's
It's
about
sickening, actually.
behaving in a mature way. None of these characters would ever send any of these messages to anyone else. They're all
Right.
about dealing with things in a mature way. If they found that picture offensive, they would say, hey, it's a really nice work, but
It doesn't speak to me.
it doesn't really speak to me, and I personally don't really like it because I think this seems a little whitewashed. This is what's going on. And she can say, oh, wow, that didn't occur to me. I'm so sorry. And she can either change it or not. There's no way that any of these level of bullying would ever be called for drawing a character.
It's art. Deal with it.
It's art.
It's meant to be controversial. Deal with
Yes.
it. So that's our judgment of the day. We're not going to call out any names. Not going to call out anybody, but y'all need to calm the fuck down.
Yeah.
Go back to your happy places.
And
And let people
Paige-
draw whatever the fuck they want to draw.
And if Paige Paz ever sees any of this, we just want you to know that you're awesome and
Yes.
you've gone through a lot of bullying and bullying doesn't even come close to the level of what's going on. And we genuinely want you to do well. And we like your stuff. We like your work.
Keep drawing.
Keep drawing. Keep drawing. You're amazing. Stay strong.
So moving on to the movie verse. Of course, there we go. There we go. Warcraft
Trailer.
trailer, which I'm getting up there. Somebody talk about Warcraft while I get the trailer going.
CC? That's your
Well,
cue?
I'm really looking forward to it. I don't think it's going to be a big blockbuster movie. I don't think it's going to be anything like, the Avengers or anything. But I'm looking forward to it. I really am.
It's spectacular. From just the trailer, the visuals are magnificent.
Well, like you said, if there's one thing Blizzard does well, it's hype and cinematics. What is a movie? It's
All cinematics.
all cinematics. So I'm really looking forward to this. I think, and there are people who are like, well, what's going on? Are they going to change the story? No, it's basically a variation on the original Warcraft plot lines. I'm really excited about it.
I think they are taking some liberties with it. I think they're probably trying to Warlords Draenor it up a little bit. I mean, they've got Garona in it. And Garona is half human again, so they're back to the original premise that her being half human as opposed to being half Draenei. And if this is, they asked the actress who played her, they said, well, if this is the first meetings of the humans and the orcs, how the hell do you explain Garona? And she goes, well, I can't explain that without giving something away. So
So they did think through it. I'm really looking forward to this movie. I think it's going to be really, really fun. I think it's going to be so good. I'm very excited about it. It doesn't have to be the biggest, deepest, most amazing, like thought-provoking show, movie. It's Warcraft. It's Warcraft. And I kind of like that they're taking some liberties with the story. They didn't really, when they made the original Warcraft Men and Orcs, Orcs and Men, whatever it was, they didn't really have
envisioned this. I mean,
no, there's no way they could have envisioned anything that would be coming together with the whole world of Warcraft, all these different things that are going on. So it does make sense that they would change a little bit. Also, I don't want to know everything that's going on.
I
think
all I know is that I am a visual effects person. and these, I'm like, wow. I mean, half
Yeah.
the cast is going to be all orked up and everything,
So you're going to
and
be as happy as a ferret in a merry-go-round.
I'm going to be
Yeah.
happy as a fennec fox with a chew toy. I,
Yeah.
unless the story absolutely sucks, and I'm talking like Dungeons and Dragons, the first movie kind of suck. Um, I'm going to be content as pie.
Although I have to admit, that movie is a guilty pleasure just to see Jeremy Irons clearly going, the things I will do for a paycheck these days.
Mm. So I am eager to see it. Again, I wish it wasn't delayed until June, but again, with as much After Effects as they're having to do in this, and the quality just from the freaking trailer. Ah.
Oh yeah. I'm so excited. I am so excited. Like you said, they do cinematics well. That's one of Blizzard's big things. It makes sense that they would make a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm gonna enjoy
just
it.
to imagine if this movie does do well and isn't just simply niche,
Hmm.
could you imagine them making The Fall of Arthas?
Oh, that
Or,
would be amazing.
or Diablo.
I would watch the shit out of either of those.
And because if they did The Fall of Arthas and the destruction of Lordaeron, and then maybe a couple years later actually did Wrath of the Lich King,
Hmm.
I'd be like,
But there's
Do you need to be alone, Drew?
no, I will be alone later.
yeah. I'm
To,
really
to quote Iron Bull, I will think fondly on this while I pleasure myself later.
yeah.
I did
No.
not need to be reminded of Iron Ball in that
If I could
particular
have
context.
said it in his language, I would have.
In any case, I was a little worried when I first heard about the project because the first thing I thought, well, I mean they've been talking about the project for what is it like 10 years, but when I first really heard that this was finally coming out, I immediately thought about the Warhammer 40K movie Ultramarine, which they were so proud of, but it's so bad. It's so bad. Like it is Star Wars Christmas special bad. Like there are people who like bad movies who would turn this off halfway through and
Oh
go, I,
dear.
I, I can't. I can't. I
But
just can't.
again, we're talking Blizzard here.
But this has, like, even the trailers have exceeded all expectations of mine. And so that may be why I'm so excited, is because I was expecting something pretty awful. But it looks really good. I don't even care if the plot's bad. I just want to see all those special effects.
I'm right there with you. Maybe we'll have to get into the same state and watch it together.
Oh, yeah. I think Nevada's halfway between us, right?
Yeah, that's where my family lives.
Yeah. Road trip.
All right, so moving on
Moving right
to
along.
Alice Through the Looking Glass. Somebody start talking. I know Mouse is. You gotta start talking because I gotta queue up the trailer.
All right, so long story short, you guys remember the 2010 Tim Burton Alice in Wonderland, which was a horrible, horrible failure. Well, against all odds and against all common sense, they have decided to do a sequel. Helena Bonham Carter is, of course, returning as obviously the Red Queen.
Elizabeth.
Which she shouldn't have been the Red Queen. She was clearly the Queen of Hearts. Get it together, Burton. We have returning stars Mia Wasikowska, who played Alice, and she had a wonderful, wonderful range of emotions from A to B. Anne Hathaway is returning, Johnny Depp is returning, Stephen Fry, Toby Jones, Alan Rickman is there, Paul Whitehouse, Barbara Windsor, and there's new members of the cast, Rhys Ifans and Sacha Baron Cohen.
Yeah.
And we have seen 3 snippets already. I really don't know
These
why.
snippets. I'm watching the entire trailer.
Well, yes.
Disney was queuing up the trailer in bits and pieces throughout the last week, and then at the end of the week they finally released the entire trailer. See, whereas Mouse disliked the first movie, I enjoyed the hell out of it.
I am sorry. Johnny Depp should not be hip hopping for Frabjous Day. He is a man who should never be filmed dancing ever.
He wasn't hip hopping; he was futter whacking.
I just thought it was bad.
It was bad. Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Disney has been doing some good stuff recently. Maybe it will not be bad this time around, I hope, because Alice in Wonderland is one of my favorite books. Contrary to what people think, it's not a drug trip. Actually, the whole concept of Alice in Wonderland is teaching you how to think logically through illogic.
Through drugs.
No, it's basically every single. There's a really good book called The Logical Alice, and it shows you how Carol is actually going through errors of identification, of thought, etc. in every single chapter, and it makes sense. So, someone who was a mathematician, who was a logician, and he liked children, and he had friendship with children. He basically Alice is kind of like this is how you become a thinking adult through in a package of fancy. So it's very, very hard for someone to get Alice in Wonderland right when they think, oh, this is just fancy and whimsy. No, there is a core to it. And the first movie, the Disney movie, actually got that. As totally psychedelic as it was, it really got that. The 2010 version did not. I am hoping it might be present there in the new version, but again, this is I am not entirely hopeful about it.
I am on board. So I want to watch it. I will watch it. Damn it! You can't stop me. So
You
there.
can't stop the beat.
you you can't stop the beat, baby. So
I'm not gonna sing.
again, just as evidence, we're not all of the same mind here. We have come from different flavors. So next up,
I'm
Star Wars:
cinnamon.
The Force Awakens. Mouse, go ahead and take the top.
So is it the fan?
Yes.
Okay, good. So we had a rather nice gesture from J.J. Abrams and Disney. Daniel Fleetwood, who is a 32-year-old fan of the series. In July, he was diagnosed with a rare form of connective tissue cancer called spindle cell sarcoma, and he said he was told he would only have 2 months left to live. He still managed to hang on. But one of his dreams was to see the new Star Wars movie before he died. And his wife campaigned for this, and it was picked up on social media. Mark Hamill started boosting the signal, John Boyega as well. And his wife, Ashley, on, I believe, let me check, on November 5th, posted that the campaign had been a success and that Abrams and Disney had sent him an unedited version of the movie that will be released on Christmas, and he was able to finally watch the movie. So I just,
Which makes me so happy.
it makes me so happy. I just bad talk Disney. This is where I good talk Disney and Abrams.
I normally don't like J.J. Abrams, but good for you.
Yeah.
Again, it's treating the fans with respect.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of those instances where they, the whole we can't let the secrets out. No, they like the man's
Yeah.
dying. Let him watch it. This is what he wants.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, it hurts no one in the end. Let him see. Let him see the damn movie. It makes him happy. It's a good gesture. It makes him happy, and relieves some of the the badness. So. I was going to go talk about some of the badness that that went along this past week with the Star Wars stuff, but we're already running up against our 2 hour mark, so I'm just saying good on you, Get Disney and JJ.
good on you guys. Yeah,
Good on you guys. And for those who haven't seen it, the international trailer's out, has more spoilers. We're not going to talk about them, but again, I'm trying to be good. But
Be good.
if you're into that, go watch it. It has more stuff. And so I'm going to go ahead and we're going to just move the rest of the stuff to another day.
Mm-hmm.
And including our Wonder Woman topic, because we'll give it more time to build and simmer. We'll maybe talk about it tomorrow or next week. Who knows?
Tomorrow,
Yeah, we'll talk about it tomorrow. You guys won't be here. Who cares?
And
Drew will be
Ben Gay.
talking about it in his bathroom, facing the blank wall.
we're also
Won't be the
putting up
first
talking
time,
about
Won't be the last. So what are you guys up to this week?
Bengay Q-tips.
Bengay? Did you just say Bengay?
I said Bengay Q-tips. Q-tips. No.
You're getting Bengay Q-tips?
No. I was just saying that we're putting off I'm trying to I'm coming up with as many different ways of mispronouncing Benedict Cumberbatch as possible because we're putting off talking about Doctor Strange until next week.
Betty Boop Cucumber Patch is my
Yeah,
favorite.
yeah,
Anyways,
yeah.
So Cece has another opera thing
I
going
do
on.
indeed.
I actually got a job. I will be starting on the 19th. I will work for a medical partners firm. Good money, which will allow me to fund my operatic career some more. And the best thing is that it's only 4 minutes away from where I live by
damn
car.
jealous.
So I
Nice.
can I do not have a lengthy commute. I do not, and if the weather is really bad, I can just go very, very slow.
My
Or if the
jealousy is
weather's
through
really
the
really
roof.
good, you could walk it.
Or I can walk it. But that'll have to wait until the summer because winter's coming, and that's going to be cold as cold as the
Winter's
witch's tits.
coming.
Yes.
Do not. Anyways,
All right, so I'm going to go finish up playing Stasis probably tonight. So if anybody want to watch live, I'll probably be on Twitch doing that. Who knows
Oh
what
yes,
else?
yes, yes, yes. I will. I'm also. Those have been watching my read-only memories playthrough. I took a break this last week. I'm going to start on Sunday and try to finish the game soon.
But he
All
doesn't
right.
stream it live. He'll be
I don't stream it in live. I pre-record it because my computer, for some reason, after I upgraded to Windows 10, does not like to stream.
his machine doesn't like you guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But keep an eye. As always, if you like what you see here, please come back and join us again. Hit the all the magic buttons are over there, except for the Geekamole ones, which Mouse keeps forgetting to give me.
Whop whop.
But if you go to Facebook and look for Geekamole, you'll find us in there somewhere. But hit the subscribe button on YouTube, please. We need the followers. Twitch need the follow. Well, we don't need the followers there, but hey, it's always nice to have you because someday we'd like to have a subscription button. So
Yes.
see you guys later, and we
Wait.
will be back next week. Hopefully, possibly with some guest hosts. Since 4CC
Follow
will
us on
be
Facebook and Twitter, and I will announce as soon as I have a confirmation who our guests will be. Those of you who read comic books and are into the comic book media might know who they are. That's all I can say.
it will be a heavy comic book day,
Which is I won't be here next week, so
so she won't be missing a damn thing.
because I have got opera stuff.
So-
Opera!
Gotta go sing an opera. So you're gonna talk about comic books because I am not as knowledgeable about them. So
So peace out, bitches.